Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I do apologize. I've been gone for a couple weeks, trying to take care of some business. Figure out popping in a new video today. Thanks and welcome back to kind of watching these videos, and hopefully you'll share them with others. Those that are new to the channel, welcome, where I try to put out videos on anything federal government, anything from the hiring process all the way to the retirement process and beyond. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It will really help the channel. And also, please don't forget to share this with others. There's always good information to pass around. People may be knowledgeable, but there's always something new that we can learn every day. So today, we're going to be getting into the top question of today. Can federal employees, or to include civilian employees, can you continue to serve on reserve and active duty National Guard while you're a federal employee? Absolutely. It's something that a lot of employers sometimes like to try to give folks a little bit hard time about. In most cases, employees are protected from employers and their mistreatment because they're serving in the military, right? So there are federal guidelines, laws, and rules that are going to protect that employee. And what we're going to get into today is going to be specifically, and let me look at this, make sure that I say it right. It's the Uniformed Service Employment and Reemployment Rights Act of 1994. This basically is a federal law that established rights and responsibilities to the uniformed service member and their employers. So there are always some rules. So we're going to get a little bit more into detail, and let's talk about that. Okay, so this federal law is intended to ensure that persons who serve or have served in military forces, reserve, or National Guard, or any type of uniformed service are not at any disadvantages in their civilian or federal careers. Because you serve in the military, that does not mean that you cannot hold down a job. You are promptly reemployed. I say again, you are reemployed in your capacity once you return from your duty. Now, some of you may not be aware, but you have individuals that they go away for active duty basic training and AIT or MOS training. And when they come back, they are assigned to a reserve unit or a National Guard unit where they serve 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, unless they're activated full time for some type of major catastrophic incident or some type of war type scenario. A lot of times that employee will go away, and in most cases you'll find that unless you say something, employees lose out on promotions and all these other factors. So they're set aside to make sure that you are not discriminated against based on your past, present, or future military service. I think that's great off the top, that you have the ability to do both. Serve honorably as an ex-military service member. We take a little bit of pride in serving the country. The law is intended to encourage non-career uniformed services so that United States can enjoy some type of protection of those services, staff, qualified people, while maintaining the needs of the public and the private sector, and that you can depend on these individuals. They're only gone 1 week in a year. 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year while they're serving on their duty. Don't see any harm in that. You know in advance this is something that can be scheduled, and you cannot discriminate against them for that. Wonderful tool. This law protects the rights of individuals who voluntarily or involuntarily leave employment in their positions to perform services or uniformed service to include certain types of natural disasters, provide medical services, commission corps, or public health. You know, a lot of times when we have catastrophic incidents, the National Guard may be activated to provide support because you don't necessarily have volunteers that step into the plate to kind of go and serve the community. So what a great resource to have men and women in uniform there to provide some services to the public. This law affects employment and reemployment retention and employment service when employees serve in uniformed service. So This is a way to retain your people so they can do both. There's no harm in this. The law also prohibits employers from discriminating against their past or present services. Let me kind of get a little bit more detail in that. You can work for the federal government or some type of civilian entity and be dual. You can get both. Now, in some cases, you have where some employers may try to force you to use your vacation time. However, the law prohibits them from doing that. The employee has so many days that's allocated. They call them mutas. And these mutas, or this active duty training that they're called to do to serve their duty, they are afforded the time to do so. It is not deducted from your sick time, your personal time, your vacation time. So employers need to be aware of that. It is illegal to do so. While they're gone, you cannot slide anybody into that position permanently. So let's say, for example, that employee gets activated to go to war and they're gone a year or 15 months. The employer can do exactly what they need to do to make sure that the position is covered in their absence. When the person returns from that duty, they're entitled to go back to that position. This should not be discriminated against. And if so, the employee can take some type of litigation against that employer. I know that we're covering a lot of areas, and these videos are never all inclusive, right? I try to put a little bit of tidbits out there, kind of pique your interest. Maybe someone is interested, someone asks a question, you can say that there's some type of law out there that protects the employee, right? Now, keeping in mind, I mentioned about them not taking your time. The other factor here, the law prohibits them from losing your pay. If there is a promotional opportunity, they have to afford you the opportunity to apply for those positions as well. A lot of times people kind of use this nepotism and they try to sneak into good old boy network. They try to put people in place while you're absent. Be aware that once you come back, you can take some type of action against the employer. I'm not saying that we go out there and challenge every employer. Just understand that you have rights that protect you, especially if you're serving. Now, if you activate during wartime, the declaration of emergency to support a disaster or some type of wartime, you cannot lose your job. I cannot stress that enough. It is there for protect you. Now, if the company folds in your absence, I get it. But keep in mind, there are some protections. Now, there are a lot of factors to these things. The law is out there. I'm not going to hold you up on this. I just want to kind of post always a little bit of short videos to kind of pique your interest so you're smarter than the average bear, right? So I hope you found this video informative. Again, not all inclusive. So if you have any additional comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll be glad to answer any and all questions that you might have as it relates. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It'll definitely help out the channel. And at the same time, we'll have an opportunity to kind of educate those who may not know, or at least broaden their horizons about additional topic. I am not an expert and not a lawyer. I am just kind of sharing whatever little bit of knowledge I've gained between the military and federal government over the last 40 years. Again, thanks for watching and have a safe and enjoyable day.